The Palace of Versailles is one of the most magnificent historical buildings in the world. This stunning palace was once the residence of French kings and queens. It has a rich and fascinating history that has captivated visitors for centuries. But there are many secrets and mysteries that were taking place inside the palace, and not many people know about them. We will look at them now. This is the room of King Louis XIV, where the king spent his nights, and on this bed he passed away. But this room was also the center of power. Royal ceremonies took place there, and the members of the entourage adhered to the smallest details and principles. Let's get to know the strict rules of the palace, or what is known as etiquette.
Your Majesty, it's time.
With this brief phrase, the butler would wake King Louis XIV every morning. Before entering the room, the king's doctors, the princes, and dignitaries of the family, they all attend the small wake-up ceremony, in which the king is cleaned, shaved, and his wig is fixed. Then the monarch performs a prayer accompanied by a priest, before 100 courtiers arrive to watch the big wake-up ceremony. Then the king would dress, and have a breakfast of soup, or 2 cups of herbal tea. The courtiers would race to attend the ceremonies of the king waking up in the morning, and sleeping in the evening. They would anticipate every look, smile, or sight that came from His Majesty. Every royal gesture was the subject of analysis, scrutiny, and endless speculation about who would be the next shoemaker. Around 1 o'clock, King Louis XIV sits alone at the dinner table held at noon in his room. Sometimes his brother joins him, while the court stands still, watching him silently and reverently for an hour. A ritual that is repeated at 10 o'clock in the evening. After a few hours of staying up late and chatting in the salons of the Palace of Versailles, the court gathers in its finest attire to watch the ritual of the great dinner. During this time, dishes are served to His Majesty and his family in silver and gold vessels, to the tunes of music composed especially for the occasion. After dinner, the great sleeping ceremony begins. During this, the honor of carrying the candlestick is granted when the king puts on his night clothes. This privilege is given by the monarch every night to one of the nobles, who, if he dared to refuse, would be insulting the royal self. The day ends with a small sleeping ceremony, the audience of which is limited to the closest of relatives. The entourage is taken out of the room so that the king can go to bed. As for why this etiquette was imposed on the thousands of nobles who live in the king's palace and enjoy his hospitality. According to historians, Louis XIV did not forget the taste of rebellion he experienced in his childhood, when the kingdom's nobles shook his throne. In the Palace of Versailles, the king controlled his entourage with his strict rules, and distracted them with the smallest details of his life. Even watching him relieve himself became an important event for which the nobles paid 100,000 coins to attend. Between the ceremonies of waking up, eating and sleeping, and attending the king's relieving sessions, no aristocrat would have found time to plot, mobilize troops, and think again about overthrowing the king. Unlike King Louis XIV, Louis XV and later Louis XVI preferred to seclude themselves away from the eyes of the courtiers. In Versailles, there were rooms for public ceremonies and others dedicated to private times and secret matters.
Même si le roi de France vivait constamment en public à Versailles, il pouvait se ménager quelques heures dans son emploi du temps extrêmement serré dans la journée pour s'adonner à ses passions. Et Louis XV, dès sa plus tendre enfance, à l'âge de 12 ans, s'est fait aménager plusieurs espaces pour son éducation, et notamment ce genre d'espace assez majestueux, toujours, qu'on appelle le cabinet de la pendule, avec cette magnifique pendule de passement juste derrière moi, où il s'adonnait à sa passion pour l'astronomie. Mais il y avait aussi d'autres espaces beaucoup moins majestueux, beaucoup plus petits, sans aucune décoration, où Louis XVI s'adonnera notamment à sa passion pour la serrurerie. Donc Versailles, c'est cela, c'est à la fois l'apparat au premier étage et dans les espaces beaucoup plus retirés, des toutes petites pièces, simplement peinturées en blanc, sans aucun autre décor. Contrairement aux châteaux médiévaux, à Versailles, il n'y a pas véritablement de passage secret. Tout au plus, on a des passages discrets, et notamment le passage qui se trouve juste derrière moi, qui est un passage qui permettait au roi de se rendre directement de sa chambre à la chambre de la reine. Alors ça reste un passage que connaissaient les gens, c'est un passage officiel, puisque le roi traversait ce salon de l'œil de bœuf, dans lequel il y avait 24 heures sur 24 des gardes, et il arrivait directement chez la reine. Néanmoins, Louis XVI, qui était assez timide, un an à peine après son accession au trône, s'est fait construire véritablement un passage secret qui est un corridor qu'il faut imaginer juste sous mes pieds, un corridor de 70 mètres assez biscornu, qui lui permettait d'aller directement de sa chambre en passant sous le salon de l'œil de bœuf, évitant tous les gardes qui étaient ici pour aller directement chez la reine. Donc on peut voir ce passage qui conduit directement chez la reine. Et c'est ça qui est intéressant à Versailles, c'est qu'avec ces passages discrets, c'est l'idée que Versailles, on peut aller immédiatement d'un espace public à un espace privé.